Hey, flooring pros, I'm Jerry Levinson, and this is the Flooring Business Podcast, where we talk to expert flooring dealers, suppliers, marketing experts, software experts, and anyone I believe is going to help you in your flooring business. Now, my mission is to give you good information. It's going to help you reach your goals. If you're just starting your business, or you're trying to reach 5 million, 10 million in sales, or you're ready to sell your business, you're going to find useful information that's going to help you reach your goals and profit now in the flooring industry. The Flooring Business Podcast is sponsored by Jerry's Flooring Family. If you're ready to grow your sales 90K in the next 90 days, go to jerrylevinson.com/apply. Now, in this week's episode, my guest is Buddy Mitchell, who teamed up with FCA Network, and he's here to talk about how they're helping flooring dealers compete to succeed in a tough market. Hey, flooring pros, I'm Jerry Levinson, and this is the Flooring Business Podcast, where we talk to expert flooring dealers, suppliers, marketing experts, software experts, and anyone I believe is going to help you in your flooring business. My mission is to give you good information that's going to help you reach your goals. If you're just starting your business, you're trying to reach 5 million in sales, 10 million in sales, or you're ready to sell your business, you're going to find useful information that's going to help you reach your goals and profit now in the flooring industry. The Flooring Business Podcast is sponsored by Jerry's Flooring Family. If you're ready to grow your sales 90K in the next 90 days, go to jerrylevinson.com/apply. I look forward to talking to you there. Now, in this week's episode, my guest is Buddy Mitchell, who teamed up with the FCA Network, and he's here to talk about how they're helping flooring dealers compete to succeed in the tough market. Oh, good.
As a practice run.
All
Okay,
right,
cool.
here we go. Take three. This is actually take three. The interview with Buddy Mitchell, and who just started FCA Flooring or started working with FCA Buying Group Network. And one of the things I wanted to point out in the book I wrote, we talk about there's four main ways to get in the flooring business and get started. You can buy an existing business, transition from installer to retailer, just start from scratch, or expand from other industries. Those are the four main ways I see people getting started. But one thing that's common for everybody is it's hard to get started. It's hard to get signed up with suppliers and get suppliers that will sell to you. Buddy, when did you start? Tell us about you're still in Simply Floors, right? You still own that?
Yes, I own Simply Floors. We have 3 locations in the Denver area. I have whole Denver metro market. I have 3 locations. 2026 we'll open our 4th location in the north end of Denver, the far north end of Denver. I'm still doing that. I run the marketing and the sales department for Simply Floors, and my wife runs the production side of it. And so I decided, Karen and I decided together that back at Surfaces, I was having lunch with the leadership at FCA Network, which is the buying group that I'm a member of. And they asked me, would I be interested in possibly being a business development guy for them? And I said yes, because I had a vision of helping small retailers, guys that are, smaller than me. I do about 8 million a year here in Denver. And I built it from nothing. I had basically 25,000 when I started in cash, and I built it from nothing to 8 million in about 10 years. Right. We're on year 11 and we're at 8 million. And so that's where we're at. And I said to Karen, I said, I could take my marketing that I produce and help other dealers with their marketing. And we had been talking about that when Olga asked me if I would be interested in there's a team at FCA, but the management team at FCA said, would you be interested in new business development? And I said, well, yeah, I could bring in new dealers, but I also want to support the other people in FCA and other dealers. I love entrepreneurs. I grew up, my dad was an entrepreneur, started his business. He put that vision in me. I love guys that are out there trying to start their business. And I want to be able to help them get their business going better. And
It's really
I think you have the same passion as I
yeah.
do. Is it the funnest thing in the world is looking at a guy and saying, okay, you're running your business this way. And if you listen to me, you're going to skip 10 mistakes that I made.
Oh,
right?
the cost too, and
Right.
money you
And
spend
so,
on those mistakes is in
right.
the money and
And
time. I mean, this really is the perfect role for you because after 10 years, you've got that business up to $8 million, which is incredible. The bulk of the people I run into, I work with, I've seen online, and I've talked to, the bulk of them haven't made it over 5 million, so it's really the perfect role for you to help those dealers and the people that have joined FCA and the people that you'll sign up. You really help them get there and achieve those goals and skip a lot of those marketing and business operation mistakes that a lot of them make.
yeah, but we're also known as FCA, Floor Covering Associates Network, right? And so there's 70 some storefronts that we've got. I'm not the biggest dealer in FCA, right?
Yeah.
There's guys that do more business than me, and there's guys that are smarter than me, and guys there that have mentored me. The guy that got me signed up, Don Lovato, he was instrumental in my success. Olga was instrumental in my success, and I am successful. I'm not going to say I'm not. Am I as successful as a lot of companies? No, but I also did this with no investors, nothing. I did this starting with 25,000, and every dollar I put into advertising, every dollar that I put into training a salesperson, only watch them to flame out. Every mistake I made came right out of my pocket, and
Right.
I say almost out of my kids' mouths, right? Because I wasn't able to feed them, the
Let's
way
go
I
back in
should have.
time a little bit though. I mean, how did you even get started with getting materials, getting supplies? Because these guys won't sell to you. I mean, Mohawk and Shaw, that they got big boys in the area that say, "Hey, don't sell to that guy." And
Yeah,
so when you're new, you have a
I was
hard time
blackballed.
getting signed up.
I was blackballed by all of them because there's three big suppliers here in town, and I had relationships with two of them, and the other one I didn't have a relationship with, but he,
Yeah,
he didn't want me starting either. And so none of the manufacturers would talk to me until I got a rogue Dixie rep. And I shout out Dixie because he was an independent rep and he was about 75 years old and he didn't care if he got fired. So he met me in a parking lot of a Perkins. This is 15 years ago, so he was 75. He's probably 90 now. He's no longer a dealer rep. And he said to me, he said, "Well, they told me I get to make the decisions. And you buy a display, I'll open." Right. And so he opened me, but it was just Dixie carpet. They didn't have hard surface back then. And so on that application, it said, "What buying group are you part of?" And I was like, "What the hell is a buying group?" Right. But I figured it out on the way home, and then I Googled it and up popped Olga. And so I'd been in business for about 4 or 5 months at that time. And I had never gotten a call back from any other supplier besides him. And I think I called him 10 times. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Wow.
And so I met Olga and she said, "Well, how much business are you doing?" And I explained to her what I was doing and how I was doing it. And she said, "Well, I need to get you vetted." So we have a dealer in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we have a dealer in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And that dealer, his name's Don Lovato. And so I drove down, met with Don, and he and I hit it off. And he said, "Yeah, I'm going to recommend you to join." And so then the next weekend was the FCA's convention. And so I flew out, looked at their samples, looked at their displays. I made an investment into into samples, shop at home, and a couple of displays that I had to buy in order to join. And came home, and the next week I had an account with Shaw, Mohawk, Dreamweaver, um, Shaw, Dreamweaver, Dixie, Phoenix, I believe Royalty. I think Royalty was part of the program back then. Mannington, um, lots of suppliers. And I had accounts just like that.
How does that work? So you have an account, but do you have an account with FCA Network and
No,
and you're buying through them, or how does that work?
no, you have an account directly with Shaw. Olga and FCA Network vet you, and if they determine that you're a guy that they can trust, right, or a dealer or a girl, and we have a lot of female owners, you know, if you're a human that they can trust and you have high integrity and that you want to take care of your clients and you have the ability to do business, they want to do business with you, just like Shaw does. But
But what if
Shaw,
that big guy in the
I
area
don't
is,
want to say
hey,
Shaw,
don't
but
sell to them? What if there's somebody saying, don't sell to that guy?
that was me,
Yeah.
right?
So how do they
Shaw
get
wants
around
to
that?
open. I was just going there. Shaw, let's just take Shaw, who's denying you an account. You're a small dealer.
Yeah.
You're buying through distributors. You've got an account with a couple people. Let's just take Shaw, and Shaw is not opening. Deep down, they want to open you, but they don't want to lose the business with their bigger dealer. They don't want to piss off the bigger dealer. They have to have an excuse. So a buying group, whether it's FCA or whatever group you decide to join, right? That buying group gives you the ability to get an account with Shaw that you can't get outside of that, right? And that is I don't want to get into that because that's the littlest part of the business. Now, I understand that if you're a dealer right now and you're in Florida and you can't get a Shaw account, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the reason we're having this conversation, because there's a guy down in Florida right now that posted on your thing saying you couldn't get an account with Shaw, or it was $10,000 or whatever, right? I've actually talked to him a couple times. But if you're that dealer, it's a big deal to you because you're like, man, I could sell so much more Cortec if I had a Shaw account, or I could do this and I could get my business going if I just had some whatever. That's a big point. But then there's so many more impacts that we can get through FCA, so many more things that FCA Network will help you with other than that. But yes, if you are doing a book of business, and I was doing a book of business, okay? If you're doing a book of business and you have good credit, right? Because you got to have good credit. Olga can't fix that for you, right? You have a book of business, good credit, and you're a dealer between, you know, half a million and 7, 8, 10 million. You're the ideal company that should join FCA Network. I'll tell you
What
why. A
about
little
new
guy.
companies out of the gate? Somebody opening up a brand new company that they're going to get there. I mean, and I've actually helped like 3 companies brand new and started off through FCA. Because if they invest in me and my coaching, they're a serious player.
Yeah.
So Olga signed them up, got them going. And one thing I really love is you're buying your displays through them, so you're not having to buy displays from every single manufacturer, which
Right.
costs a
That's the
fortune.
difference between an aligned dealer and an FCA member, right?
Yeah.
There was a guy saying, well, I'm thinking about going either Shaw or Mohawk aligned, whatever that program is. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
why would you do that when you could be aligned with every dealer? He's like, well, I can get some rebates and I can get some benefits. And I'm like, yeah, but you're going to get that from us, and you're going to get it from Shaw, Mohawk, Dreamweaver, and Dixie and Phoenix, instead of only being aligned with one of them. And and I don't know this, I'm gonna make something up, okay? Because I don't know this, and I think you might. But
Yeah.
if I have Mohawk and Shaw in my showroom, and Shaw comes in and talks me into being a line dealer, it seems like now the Mohawk guy is pissed. And I don't know that to be true.
I was aligned with both. Well, and
Okay.
what I can tell you is I thought there'd be benefits to being aligned. There probably were, but both companies do a really piss poor job of explaining the benefits of being an aligned dealer.
I
They
don't
just
know.
don't
I
do a
have
good
never been
job of
aligned.
explaining it.
I I started my store, was open 4 months. Now you got to understand, let's just take a step back. I went into flooring in 2010. Okay. So now we're jumping ahead 4 years. I had built a book of business through that time. One was for a sales company. Another was with a flooring company that me and my partner loved him, but we just didn't see eye to eye. So I had built a book of business. I was doing less than $1 million. Okay. So when I met with Olga to get my account, I was selling flooring, right? If you've never sold 1 square foot of flooring in your life and you come to FCA, you're not there. But if you go out, and so let's just take the guy in Pittsburgh that I just signed. I've signed two dealers. I've been working for them for a month, signed two dealers, one in Philadelphia and one in Pittsburgh, both in PA, right? And the second guy that I signed, the one in Pittsburgh, he went out and got accounts with distributors, right? And so, you know how some distributors will have carpet? He just has like 7 or 8 carpets in his shop at home truck. And then he went out and he got some LVP, and he's doing about $500,600,000 a year in those products, right?
Right.
Which means the kid's smart and tough, right? And that's
Doing pretty good. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And you know, because it's hard to go out and do that. So he opened a showroom, and now he wants to fill up the showroom with displays, and none of the manufacturers will talk to him, right?
Yeah.
And so he comes to FCA. He's open with everybody. He has an accounts with everybody because
Wow.
Olga vouched for him to those manufacturers. He's open. He'll be getting displays shipped to him, I think, any day now, because we have these new beautiful carpet
Because I
displays.
saw Mike's display, like he had this gorgeous carpet display, and it really was a beautiful display. But
He had 5 of them.
I couldn't tell how many manufacturers were on each display,
All of them.
because it doesn't identify Mohawk Shaw or where it's from. Tell us a little about private labeling and how does that work and what are the benefits behind that?
I don't think any dealer in America should not be private label. That's why I'm telling you, if you're a $7 million a year store and you're not private labeling, you're leaving gross margin on the table, period. Okay. Either you do it yourself or you join a group that can help you private label it, like FCA. Okay. I went private label on hard surface about 2 years ago, and my gross margin went from 33% average to 38% growth. 38% by private labeling my hard surface. Okay. Now, FCA is really, really strong in carpet private labeling. And, so I had to do a lot of it myself. Right. And they're coming out with it because of me, because they saw the results and they know that they need to. Right. But private label hard surface, private label carpet. Let's just take private label carpet. If everybody has the same carpet, then it's a race to the bottom. And it's really hard to differentiate yourself. If you have private label, you will make 3 to 4 more % gross margin per year, period. Okay. Our pricing is better than street pricing, and we get up to 6% rebate back, even though, so the other guy I signed in Philly, right, just a little bit north of Philly that I signed, he and I walked around his showroom where he had open line carpets. Okay. And I'd say, okay, let's see if we have that private label. FCA has a website that you can cross things over. You can see your name and you can see the street name, right?
Yeah.
The Shaw street name. And he gave me his Dreamweaver street name. I looked it up, and we were about 20 cents less a yard, not a big deal. Okay, than his price. But then he also got 20 cents more a yard in per upfront rebates, and then he can earn up to another 5% in backside rebates if he hits certain volumes with that manufacturer. Okay. And so I get all that. That's the benefit of being part of FCA. And so I don't want to get into weeds too much in rebates, because that, it's more fun to talk about what you're going to do with those than how much. But I get a lot of money back in rebates, which is like a forced savings account for you. And I think that works up for people up to 7, 8, 9 million. I've been told
you're killing my movie here.
Sure.
You're getting into the rebates.
Yeah, sorry about that. But, okay.
For the rebates, I want to ask you, because I do want to ask you about rebates, but an ongoing problem I see constantly is claims being denied. What's it like having the representative of FCA when it comes to things like claims?
I have probably saved, I've been in business 10 years. I've probably saved over $100,000 in claims because of FCA. Now, I am not the one to call it Olga every time a claim comes in. Okay. But when I have had legitimate claims that have been turned down by manufacturers,
Yeah.
okay, that I have called Olga on. And well, the team at FCA, I say Olga, and sometimes she does everything, but sometimes, she does have a team there. I called the FCA team and said, hey, and they'll look at it. And if it's not my fault, right? The inspection report is like, oh no, this is XYZ manufacturer's fault, right? And they have turned me down on labor, or they've turned me down on product or whatever. FCA has called them and said, hey, we're going to bat for our member here. And 2 days later, they're paying the claim with labor, and I can take care of my customer. Now, if I go to them and I lie and I try to cheat and it is my fault and I screwed it up, they can't fix that, right? And I've never done that because that's not who I am. But if you have legitimate claims that are not your fault, so FCA is there's corporate stores of FCA back in Chicago. They have like 8 stores. They do about 50 million a year. And then there's 71 storefronts, and we do about 120 some million a year.
Also, the FCA has their own retail outlets.
Yes, that's where they started. And so they have their retail outlets in Chicago, and they're not selling franchise or anything like that. They just said, okay, let us leverage our buying power and help these small dealers. And then the small dealers' buying power. Now, let's just take this. We are a 150 to $200 million a year. I don't know the exact numbers, and I haven't asked Olga the exact numbers. I could probably get it, but we're between 150 and 200 million a year at retail stores. And that gives us buying power, and that gives us power with the mills, because when you're buying 20 million from XYZ manufacturer a year, and you're giving them $20 million or $10 million, right? And you say, hey, you got to help us out here. They listen. If you're a guy that does 1 million a year, I think claims come out of the salesperson and the RVP. I don't know. They're affected by that. So if they can deny it, they will. But with us, with FCA, I'm just telling you, over 11 years, and I'm probably exaggerating that. I haven't had that many claims. I've probably had $30,000 to $50,000 in claims approved that were initially denied because of FCA Network.
Well, you probably throughout it all, you're not carrying materials that are susceptible to claims as well, because
right, and I install things properly.
Better.
I will tell you this: I was with Olga and Liz in either in Chicago or I don't remember the exact date, but in the last month, since I've basically been doing this, right? One of their dealers had a claim that was denied by the manufacturer that they got approved, and it saved him $5,000.
Yeah.
And Olga looked at me and said, this guy just paid all of his fees for the next year and a half, right? That she saved him in that one little, hey, she called the manufacturer, said, this is wrong. They're like, yeah, you're right. Let me look into it. She called her contact. He said, let me look into it. He came back and said, yeah, you're right. We'll cover the claim. Right.
So what if I want to carry something that FCA doesn't carry? Am I still able to get something else? And then what about my business operations? Do they determine what I charge, or how much I pay people I hire, or what kind of oversight do they have on my business?
None.
The
only thing they want you to do is operate. Okay, so let's just take me. I have a couple distributors here in town, and I have my own private label, right?
Yeah.
She don't care. Now, yeah, I am heavily invested in buying through her. I get big rebates, and I do a lot of business through FCA, but she wants to have an offering. You know what? I think Chris in Philly said it the best. He said this. He said, I talked to 2 other buying groups. This was the feedback he gave me and why he signed. He said, I talked to 2 other buying groups, and they wanted to sell me their services. The only 2 people that actually cared about me growing my business and helping is you and Olga. and you
Yeah.
came out here and talked to me, you're like, you know what? FCA is the better choice, but we're here to support small, retailers and make them better. It's not about, and so Olga is there and says, you know what? I'm going to show you carpets that you're going to sell in your store. But if you have something, you know, you have, you have 10, let's just take, you have, you have 10 interior designers coming in and buying rugs through Fabrica, and it's not part of our program because Fabrica won't be part of a program. Stanton won't be part of a program. She's going to come to you and say, I'll just tell you right now, get those samples in there and sell those designers that Fabrica and Stanton, and you have a distributor that has a really good hardwood, bring it in and put it in your showroom. But also put our product there, and hopefully you got two great choices instead of one. A lot of these dealers have one great choice.
So let me ask you, if you were looking to sell your business, and this might not be a fair question for you at this point because you just started with them, but what if I sold my business? How am I locked in again? How does that work?
The new owner can cancel at any time.
Okay.
You're locked in for 2 years when you sign up with us because we're investing in you. Because I'll just tell you, the displays that you're going to get from us cost more than what we're charging you for them, right? You get some of that back from the manufacturer, and but we're investing in you too. So if I don't know, I'll just tell you right now, you take a display from Shaw, and Shaw comes to you and says, hey, we want to give you $1,000 display. It probably cost Shaw $2,000.
They
just
don't
know
have
that
$1,000 display anymore. Everything starts at 2,000.
Well, maybe they're not discounting them anymore, but for me, I was talking to my RVP because I sell a lot of Shaw.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was complaining about the cost of a display. He said, buddy, it cost us twice that. We're actually giving it to you for half of what it actually cost us, but we want dealers to take it. So we know a dealer won't take it unless we cut the price. So FCA and a lot of these buying groups, you're investing in them, and the investment might be substantial, $10,000, $15,000 for a showroom, $20,000 for a showroom of everything, right? Most of the dealers we sign, they already have products in there, so they don't have to spend and fill up their whole show, right? But if I opened a new showroom and it cost me a lot because I had to buy all the displays for it, right? My first showroom cost me a third of that because I already had displays, and then I could slowly over time add everything and fill out the showroom with how I wanted it. So
There was a lot of flexibility with the program, so you can make it.
FCA is really flexible. We want our goal is to help small, and I mean when I say small, I'm talking guys between 750, $500,000 to 7 million. Because I know me at 7-8 million is still small compared to, I got the big boy here in town that does 200 million, right? So I'm not him, but I'm bigger than the guy down the street that does 700 grand.
Now let me ask you about the rebates, not how they work, but I know some people, it's like the owner getting a bonus. We give bonuses to our employees for doing a good job at Christmas time, whatnot. So in the beginning, we invested back into our business. I know that, but as you get older, progress, I know like Don Lovato, the guy was ugly as sin and got a facelift. Now he's like the best looking guy in flooring. He did that with his rebates. I hope he's
no.
Yeah, I got to make fun of him because the guy is so damn good looking, just can't stand it. So it's a good representative for the flooring industry, right?
He's smarter than he is good looking.
So. Well, that's saying something. Tell me something fun you did with the rebate money. Something
you just went. Your volume just went away. I can't hear you.
It's this microphone. I touched
there. It is. There it is.
Out on me. So, okay, something fun
question
cool that you've done with your rebate.
Oh, the best thing I did with my rebates is I put my kids through college with them. Okay.
Well,
I was, you know, Karen and I were making enough money that we didn't need the rebate anymore. I mean, we're you know, you, the rebate is like a forced savings account, and all of a sudden,
that's not fun. I mean, getting them out of the house is awesome, but that's not fun. Give me something
well, I'm
fun.
just going to tell you that's the most
Cool.
meaningful thing I've done with it. I also okay, so if you, I kind of told my story. What I didn't tell you is the pre-story before flooring. I put my wife through hell going broke, right? So I was a general contractor. I was a remodel contractor here in Denver, and I went broke. And then, you know, my wife had a Honda Odyssey minivan, right? That we had bought used, and it was really old. And 2022, I think it was 2021, we took the rebate check that we got, one rebate check, well, the two rebate checks, and I bought her a brand new Infinity QX80 Sensory loaded to the gills. And
Oh, nice.
we pretty much paid cash for it with our
Wow.
rebate. You know what I'm saying? So at
Yeah.
FCA, you get rebates twice a year. So it's based on your sales for every 6 months. So you're not waiting a whole year. I kind of wish she only did it once a year. Now I think the other FCA dealers would scream at me for that because the check would be so large. I mean,
Don't,
it would be
and you get right
my
around
checks are
Christmas
large,
time.
but
But you spend it on other people instead of yourself. So the nice thing is you get to spend on yourself the first, at least the first one. So
well, yeah. We get one at our convention every year, and then we get one mailed to us in the fall.
it's a cool perk. So if you're on the fence about joining FCA and you're considering a buying groups or just growing your business operations, uh, tell me in your closing remarks, make the pitch for why somebody should be considering at least looking at it, giving you a call and considering FCA for their business.
Um, we can raise their gross margin through private label. We'll number two, we can help you with claims. Those are two of the things. You'll be part of a family, right? And I know you started the Jerry family, and one of the cool things about your family is they get you training them, right? But then they get each other to count. I have learned more. I learned a lot from Olga, and every time I needed help, Olga and the leadership team at FCA was there for me. When I had, you know, I'd been in the flooring business 3 years, and there were so many questions I had of how to fix this, how to do that. I could call them, and they would tell me. But I also had Don Lovato, guys. I'm not going to name them all, but guys in Cleveland, guys in Ohio that I could call and say, like right now, I'm looking at growing my multifamily business. I'd kind
I
of like,
think you have your hand on your mic right now.
can you hear me?
Yeah, now.
Sorry, I leaned over. For me, it's the networking that was part of it, the FCA network. I mean, I became friends with a lot of these people, right? And now there's a whole bunch of new blood because Olga has recruited some new, younger guys. And, I love going and talking to them and learning from them because truthfully, they're better at some of the computer stuff than I am, right? And so, you know,
The
those
network
are those.
is a really interesting thing. And one thing I find is nobody goes to an event for the networking, but they all leave away going, that was the best part of the event.
Well,
The
I'll
network,
just say this:
love it.
it's lonely. It's lonely at the top,
Yeah.
right? I don't care who you are, even if it's your family. Let's say you're the owner of a small family-owned business, and you got your brother, and you got your sister-in-law, and you got your cousin working. You're at the top,
Yeah.
right? You're the owner, and it's lonely. And so when it's kind of like I heard that in that show, the Oompa Loompas, right? They were always isolated, and then they came together, and they were finally all they were all short people, and they could be free. It's kind of like that when you go to Vegas or you go to these. There used to be broadlooms, boot camps, or whatever. Is all of a sudden you walk in, and it's like, what, that guy's a dealer, I'm a dealer. You don't have, and he's in Philly and I'm in Pittsburgh, right? We're not competitors. He's in Denver, he's in Albuquerque. We could sit around the table and talk. and we don't have to be guarded, right? And that's why that's there. That's the that's my idea of the
You guys more
psychology.
like the Gene Wilder Oompa Loompas or more like the Johnny Depp Oompa Loompas?
I don't remember. I didn't watch the Johnny Depp one. I just remember the Gene Wilder one, right?
Right. That's all that matters.
I remember reading a thing on that, and it was just like, and I thought about business owners being the same way. You know, you're so isolated your whole life running a business that, you know, you want someone that you can sit and talk business with, where you don't have to be guarded saying, you know, because if you tell one of your people, hey, we're trying to make, you know, I'm trying to make 10% gross margin, and they're like, oh, really? And you do 8 million, you're trying to make $800,000 a year. And I'll say, yeah, I'm trying to make $800,000 a year to you, Jerry.
Yeah.
I don't really necessarily want to tell that to my sales staff and my cousin who's working for me that I'm paying $50,000 a year to, you know. And so you got to go there and be free. And that's all I'm saying about the networking part of it. And, you know, at FCA, you know, Olga structures her conventions around training, but, you know, she gives us a lot of free time just to let our hair down and enjoy each other.
Yeah, I
So
went to the convention in Scottsdale. That was great. You know, it was a good crowd to be around, and it's funny that, or it's fun to be around people with so much of the same interests involved in that beyond like a Shaw convention or Mohawk convention. When you're there, you're all still kind of competitors, but when you're at like an FCA type of convention, you're really sharing best practices. So it really,
that's why I'm gonna,
yeah,
you know, I'd say Olga will not open someone in Denver that's a direct competitor of mine unless she gets my permission,
yeah,
right? And so the guy in Philadelphia that we just signed, he was worried about that because he wants to open a couple other stores. And Olga's like, okay, you know, in the next few years, you can, you know, it's, you know, Philadelphia, you know, driving from his to downtown Philadelphia is a 2-hour drive. Will she open someone in downtown Philly? Probably. And, but she won't open one within 10 minutes of him and screw up his account. You know what
right.
I'm saying? We do protect you do have a service area that you get to protect. And then, you know, I was open on the north end of town, and I told Olga, hey, I want to open on the south end of Denver. And she held it for me. And it took me 4 or 5 years to open down there, but I finally opened on the south end of town, you know, so.
Now, if somebody's interested, they want more information, what's the best way to get a hold of you and get that conversation started?
Um, Obviously, I'm on your Facebook page. They could just look up Carl Buddy Mitchell. My real name's Carl. I go by Buddy. Or they can just call me on my cell phone or text me, and that's 720-400-0345. And I would just say my pitch to them would be start a conversation with me,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to tell you right now, some people, they may be looking, I think every dealer between 500,000 and 10 million should be part of a buying. I think between 7 and 10 million, you might have enough power to get better pricing than the buying group can do. If you're at 1 million, we're gonna help you with pricing. I mean, I didn't really get into that, and I know you're big on, you know, selling at a bigger gross margin. You can do that if you buy it better, and through FCA, you'll be able to buy carpet better. If you're a $1.5 to $2 million store, you will be able to buy better. You'll get rebates. You'll get the support, and then you'll also get what I'm going to be offering, and it's an add-on service, which is me coaching you on prospecting, me coaching you on how to train sales staff, and then, you know, the thing that you and I talked about when we were in Texas together, the buddy system. You know, I'm going to be helping people utilize my marketing that I do.
Yeah.
And that's another
Affiliate
conversation.
marketing that you're using for your store in Denver.
Yeah. So part of what I'm offering to people, if they want it, is I run television ads. I do Facebook advertising. I do newsletters. I do things. I do prospecting to grow my business. And I do it every day, and I live it, eat it, breathe it, sleep it, think about it 24 hours a day.
Now,
You're
I checked out A different buying group at one time. It wasn't for me, but I came away going, everybody should be knowledgeable about buying groups and what they have to offer and see if it's a good fit.
Yeah,
Got to see it
yeah.
might not be for you, but you need to know about what a buying group can do, and that might be a great fit for you and your business. So you should definitely check it out. And nobody better to talk to about it than Buddy that's lived it for the last 10 years and had great success with it. So really cool that you're on board with FCA now. That's going to be a fun chapter in your life.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited about, um, I went to these 3 dealers, and at each dealer that I visited, the one that works with you, I mean, he taught me stuff.
Yeah.
The guy in Philly has a marketing thing that he's doing that I was like, wow, I've never heard of that. That's really intriguing. And then the guy in Pittsburgh that we signed, man, I just loved his enthusiasm and his excitement. And
Yeah.
I want to help him so bad succeed. I mean, that's just at the end of the day, it's like, man, I was that kid. I was that kid. And I call him a kid because I'm 56 and he's probably in his early to mid 30s. Maybe he's 40, but he looks like he's in his 30s. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man,
Yeah.
I was that kid, and I would love to help that guy achieve his success. And I think they saw that in me, and that's probably why they signed, because I'm not here. I'm not going to get rich helping Olga in dollars. I'm going to get rich in experience, of
Yeah.
helping people. So that's what made me excited.
That's a lot of fun. You'll love it. Hey, thanks for joining the Flooring Business Podcast. If you'd like to have a one-on-one strategy call for your flooring business where we can review where you're at and how you can increase sales and profits by over 30%, go to jerrylevinson.com/apply and request your free discovery session. Let's discuss where you're at, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. I look forward to talking with you and helping you profit now in the flooring industry.